Hey guys, welcome back to an architecture tour of Morrowind. I am Simon and our next stop is Vivec, which is quite a long way away. We are in Cedrith Mora, of course, and we're coming here, Vivec. I haven't traveled using the Mage's Guild transport yet, so we'll do that, but not straight to Vivec. I'll go to Balmora and then take the Silk Strider. Usually I would just use the Mage's Guild a lot, because it's often more convenient, but I want to walk into these cities through the front door, so to speak. Oops. Yeah, I want to go in through the front door so you can see what it looks like, you know, from the front. So, I won't teleport too much.
Well met, well met.
So as I said in the last video,
Talk I would consider.
the Mage's Guild, the Fighter's Guild, and these guys are the Imperial Chapel. So there's a lot of different factions, but they're all, in Cedrith Mora, they're all cramped into the fort.
If you wish to talk,
So we can travel to Vivec if we want, but then we'll end up inside the city. So we go to Balmora. This is the Balmora Mage's Guild, by the way.
how delightful.
Greetings and salutations.
Flatter me.
Hopefully this is somewhat familiar to you by now, if you haven't played the game before. That's, if you're wondering what that is, that's my skills improving. In this game your skills improve as you use them. So when I run around a lot, then I gain athletics, as you can see.
Where would you like to go?
So, Silk Strider to Vivec. So we briefly saw this in the last video as we were going to Cedrith Mora. This is what the city looks like. Let's go have a walk around. So there are these square, they call them cantons. These square modular structures, and they actually float in the water, which is somewhat amazing given how big they are, and they don't seem to be all that light. I mean, it looks like stone, but anyway. So these are, they float in the water, there's bridges connecting them, as you can see, and then there are modules. And you can see the dome as well, the dome shape, which is very similar to the dome on top of the temples in each of the towns, except for Cedrith Mora, where the temple is stuck in the basement. So I guess the front gate is that way. That's the, what do they call it? The foreign quarter. So the foreign quarter, Hlahu, Redoran, Arena, Telvanni, St. Ohm, St. Dylan's, Temple, and Temple. Well, there's also the palace, which is way that way. So that's the arena. Telvanni is around the corner. Redoran, Hlahu is around the corner on the other side. St. Ohm's and St. Dylan, one or the other, I can never forget which one is which. And then the temple, you can kind of see it just behind. This is St. Dylan, okay. So the other one will be St. Ohm's. That's the temple, with a giant rock floating in the sky. And then if we go through the temple, that's the palace. Now Vivec is the name of the city, but Vivec is also the name of the demigod who lives in this city. That's even hard. To Vivec, Palace of Vivec. It's locked at level 100 and trapped. We won't go inside. So that's what Vivec looks like from this side. Alright, so let's see. Guide to Vivec. So as you can see, there's Foreign Quarter, Lahu, Redoro, and Arena, Tavani. So each of the three great houses have their own cantons. Arena, St. Dylan, St. Ohms. St. Dylan and St. Ohms is commoners and craftsmen, I think. Although it could be the other way around. So I guess they're not part of any great house, they're just, you know, common people. Temple Compound, Palace of Vivec. So it's shaped like that. Vivec City is the largest settlement on Vvardenfall and one of the largest cities in the east. Each of the great cantons is the size of a complete town. The High Fane and the Palace of Vivec are visited by hundreds of tourists. I mean, you don't see them in the game, of course. There's not hundreds of people, or hundreds of NPCs in the game. And pilgrims daily. Citizens flock to the arena for public entertainments like mock battles and comic plays. Outlanders mostly confine themselves to the foreign canton, while natives live, work and shop in the great house compounds and the residential cantons. But most of all, this is Lord Vivec's holy city. The Ministry of Truth, the temple prison, hangs above the great temple of the High Fane. So that rock floating in the sky, that's the temple prison. The High Fane is the actual temple. The halls of wisdom and justice and Lord Vivec's palace. So yeah, anyway. Vivec is a city made up of 8 cantons, each a little town in itself. On a map it looks like a cross with the Foreign Quarter at the top, the temple compound with Vivec's palace, the High Fane, the Ministry of Truth and the Hall of Wisdom and blah 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 at the bottom. The Halalu compound to the west, Tavani compound on the east, and the 4 cantons grouped together at the center of the cross. Ridoran compound, blah blah blah, Arena, St. Dylan and St. Ohms. Foreign Quarter is the, well, originally Foreign were not allowed to enter Vivec any further than the Foreign Quarter, but now Outlanders can travel throughout Vivec at will, so they've opened up a little bit more than in the past. The Imperial Guilds each have guild halls and complete services here, and then Imperial Cult Shrine serves the spiritual needs of the Imperial Faithful. Various independent tradesmen, craftsmen, blah blah blah. Temple Compound. The High Fane is the largest Tribunal temple on Vvardenfall. That's not too important. I mean, there's different ministries, there's offices, I guess you call them. Headquarters of the Temple Ordinators. Those are the guys in the fancy armor you might have been seeing wandering around. They're the police, basically. The palace. This is important. The Palace of Vivec is the abode of the god hero Lord Vivec, the warrior poet of the 3 deities who comprise Elmsavi, the divine patrons of the Tribunal temple. That's fairly important. Only the most devout are admitted to the presence of Lord Vivec, and only at his initiation. So, in Dunmar religion, or in recent Dunmar religion, I guess, these 3 god heroes, they used to be mortals, but they acquired power. I'm not going to spoil the story too much, and then they ascended to godhood, or so they claim. So there's 3 of them, and Lord Vivec lives here in Vivec. And so the temple was created by them to serve them. Before they were there, the Dunmar worshipped other things, and I won't spoil too much of the story. Lalu compound is the westernmost canton. There's mansions, treasuries, holding cells, and some corner clubs. Some House Lalu nobles and retainers prefer to maintain their residences in the less formal St. Dylan and St. Ohms cantons. So the Halalu nobles, they tend to go over the place. They don't just stay within their compound. The Tevani compound is the easternmost canton. The Mage Lord Maven Drenum is the ranking Tevani noble. The Tevani rent the compound from the temple and have to make do with a Velothi tower instead of their preferred mushroom towers. So there's a tower apparently inside the canton, but it's not mushroom. Velothi is, I guess that's the style or the culture and style of architecture of Vivec. And I guess you'll see some of that stuff around the rest of Morrowind if you play it, or maybe I'll show a bit of it. The administrative center includes a treasury and hall of records. Slaves are housed. Yeah, the Tevani keep slaves, along with cells full of monsters. There are many tradesmen, craftsmen, and retainers. Right? Ridgeron compound is the canton south of the front corner, west of the arena. The Ridgeron administrative center here includes the treasury, hall of records, holding cells. So it's the same basically in all three houses. They have their own holding cells, interestingly. So, you know, in a way they maintain their own laws. You know, like they deal with their own criminals in their own cantons. On the lower tier of Ridgeron is a Ridgeron shrine and ancestral faults. Two noble families, the Sirens and Drelors, have top tier manors. Many tradesmen, craftsmen, and trainers. The arena is nothing special. I mean, that's pretty much sums it up. It's an arena. St. Dylan and St. Elmo's residential cantons are residences for commoners and paupers, so poor people. The temple charges very reasonable rents for comfortable workshops, shops, and apartments, and most of Vvardenfall's crafts and light industry are housed in these cantons. The Abbey of St. Dylan the Wise is the top of St. Dylan, and hallowed council, blah blah blah. Transportation, footbridges, and there's boats and roads leading to other places. Alright. So, it's a fairly big city. So that's the palace. And as you can see... where should I start? There's quite a lot of things to say. Well, I guess... we can talk about the layout a little bit. Get back to the map. Now, the Palace of Vivec you'll see is removed from everything else. And obviously the foreign quarter is the furthest away from the Palace of Vivec, so... but also the three great houses are fairly distant. So, I mean, in the story and in the game as well, Vivec tends to hide behind the temple. And then he's mostly removed himself from the daily affairs of everyone else, of all the mortals, so to speak. And that obviously is reflected in the layout, like he's behind the temple, he's not, you know, in contrast to Cedrith Mora, where the Lord is in the middle and everyone else resides around him. You know, this here, Vivec is off to the side, so to speak. Foreign quarter, you know, they've only got one canton, but it's actually the biggest one. Everyone else has 2 levels, they have 3. And obviously there's a lot of foreigners, but they don't get any more cantons than just the one. Now the appearance... I mean, obviously architecturally it's the most impressive place in the whole game. You have these huge structures, which don't exist anywhere else. And I'm not sure how to interpret that. I mean, if they were built conventionally, then we see here engineering feats that are unparalleled than anywhere else in the game. But it's quite possible that they weren't constructed conventionally. Maybe Vivec just used some sort of magic to create them, or at least help. So we don't know